Welcome back to Arise Prime Time. I'm Charles Enyegolo, and I have a guest commentator with me for the rest of the program who's going to give us his personal take on the news and issues of the day. And he's the Professor of Communications, Arise News Analyst, and Deputy Dean of the Postgraduate School at Bayes University in Abuja, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. Great to see you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Charles.
Let's leap straight into it with both feet. You heard President Buhari's speech. How does that resonate with you?
It's okay, kind of reassuring against the background of the uncertainty that has enveloped the polity, in the last 3 weeks or so. And do not forget that we have a very critical event, the elections coming ahead of us, and we're beginning to see mob action across the country. It could just spiral, and when mob action begins in a particular city, it can have a domino effect, because we have a large army of jobless, angry youth who are ready to cash in on, who are very vulnerable and ready to take advantage of every situation. Unfortunately though, but again, the onus is also on the leaders, on the ruling class, not to create this kind of conditions, that will trigger or provoke the mob, realizing that the mob can be very, very dangerous, especially the kind of mob and that our kind of system, their kind of contradiction is wont to breed, as the case could be.
But that 200 Naira denomination, that the expiration of which has been extended, what difference do you think it'll make?
Yeah, I think it's okay. It will cushion the effect, and I think it's a strategic move, to appease, those at the lower rung of the ladder, because they are the ones that are likely to use, and they are more disposed to using those small denominations more than the elites, the economic elites, those are the upper echelon of the economic ladder. So I think it's essentially meant, to cushion the pain they're probably going through, and realizing that, ours is an essentially informal economy. The informal economy where the mass of the people don't even believe in banking. Quite a number of people are unbanked. So if they're unbanked, how do you expect them to make exchanges? How do you expect them to carry out transactions, and you are shutting them out with the scarcity that enveloped the system in the last 1 month, So I'm coming now at this time and saying that, okay, the old 200 note can exist side by side with the new one. It's a welcome development, irrespective of the controversy around whether the president should have announced it in a situation where we have a court case that is still ongoing, And that's another matter that attorneys have been taking on, But again, we have different arms of government here. Sometimes in a democracy, you can see the trinity crisscrossing each other. You can see the trinity clashing. But what is more important is just for us to ensure that the ship of state, is kept at sail. And of course, there might be storms, but the storm should not be strong enough, to make it sink.
Well, what about the issue of easing electoral corruption? How do you reckon all this will affect that now, this vote buying?
Well, I think the question of corruption, or maybe vote buying, is just speculative, and maybe rightly so, because of our history, where politicians try to perverse the process, buy the conscience of people.
Obviously, that's a preemptive move.
Yeah, maybe I don't think it's essentially going to be preemptive, because they have their ways. The Naira is not the only denomination that you can use. The dollar is there, pounds is there, euro is there. And you cannot joke with politicians that are really determined, And do not forget, there are other means of exchanges that they can use to gratify people. What about so many things that we cannot begin to highlight now? So what matters is that we have, an improved electoral system, the BVAS system, where technology is being introduced, where we hope that there will be reduction in circumventions, in the way the process is perverted, in the way attempts will be made at rigging the election. That's the thing that I think is rather more gratifying, because that's what we should look at, and not necessarily whether somebody wants to. Because how many people are you going to really you're going to influence? We will have a mass of people. We're talking about a general election here, not an off-season, off-cycle election. This is a general election, and in a general election, you must be a professional briber, so to say, to be able to cajole the entire country with some amounts of money. I don't know how that will be possible. And do not forget, I've argued earlier on, Charles, that we are going to be restricted on the day of election, and I see the restriction coming in prior to the election. So with those restrictions, and of course banks will not be working. I don't really know how the logistics of bribery really.
Well, those logistics have worked for people in the past, because there is clearly evidence that
this is a very difficult
takes place.
This is a different kind of election. You know, one of the tightest elections we're going to witness in our history. And I don't know how much bribe you want to give to some people that will change their minds. Minds are already made up. At best, they'll probably just collect your money if you have it to give them and pocket it and go vote for who they want to vote for.
Well, in that regard, we've got about 9 days to go to that election. What do you see?
Well, it's the business end. The anxiety is on. You know, the system is charged, and I see that we'll go through it successfully. But what will happen will be, what any other drama that will happen will be after the election. I'm just hoping that now that the campaign was slightly ill-tempered, I'm hoping that the post-election period will not also be ill-tempered. But I see the courts also coming in. There will be all kinds of litigation, be a greater degree of tribunalization because of the close race that we're going to be witnessing at the presidential level. You know, but overall, I think the system is gradually growing, becoming strong enough to withstand those kind of shocks that will come even at the post-election stage.
Prof, thank you very much indeed. Professor Abiodun Adeniyi is a professor of communications, Arise News analyst, and deputy dean of the postgraduate school at Bayes University in Abuja. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.